Recording. All right. So this link that came out from XBA Labs actually provides a very interesting list of database automation tools. And I just wanted to briefly go over that before we get started into our lecture. So let me stop sharing my screen on the PowerPoint for a minute. And let's just take a look at this website. So database automation is the thing, and this is another one of those slippery slopes because a lot of these automation tools require some programming knowledge. As a matter of fact, all of them do. But generally, if you're a front-end analyst or just a data analyst, essentially you need to understand the automation tool, understand how to use it, but you may not be a part of the development or the integration cycle that's happening in the back end. But I just wanted to go over a few of these and provide an opportunity for all of you to research them. You can go to this site. There's several sites that you go to. It's like IBM Informix, MarkLogic, IBM DB2. All of these, some of them have been around a while. Some of them are very new. SQLite, DB Maestro, Redgate, SAP. I'm pretty sure you've all heard of SAP. Its automation now is just tremendous as far as enterprise and the business model. MongoDB, that's the current standard for object-oriented database. We're trying to actually create some type of experience for our students throughout this course, or at least the object-oriented orientation part of the course, to develop a MongoDB scenario. But it's difficult to do in kind of a non-enterprise environment. Oracle database, Oracle has done some tremendous things with automation with their database. MariaDB, MySQL, as you know, MySQL is owned by Oracle now. And then just a list of these, Guacamole, and Avocado, and obviously SQL Server. Yes, SQL Server is considered as an automated database tool because of all the things, and we'll talk about this just briefly. So I just wanted to give you a snippet of that. As far as the topic and how we're going to use this, just remember that database automation is, well, it's now and it's the future, especially since we're going to cloud hosted database as a service and all that. So all of these automation tools will become extremely useful. Any questions or comments about that?
No, Professor, very good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So before we go into our lecture, and primarily because I was very pleased for the most part in everyone's increased level of focus on their writing, I have designated some writing superstars from week 7. And these writing superstars essentially get the option of not participating in or not submitting the DQs for week 8. So your bonus is exemption from the DQs if you'd like. Although the DQs are interesting, so if you want to participate, that's fine. If not, you still will get your 10 points for the week. So that being said, our writing superstars for week 7 are Amanveer is first, and then Andrea, thank you, and Jill, and then Katya, and Ashik, Ram, Sylvia, and Dajamini. Thank you all. You all did a tremendous job with your submission for week 7, and I applaud you. I really thank you for the clarity and thoroughness of your writing. and it was a pleasure reading those particular submissions. Okay, please complete the course and instructor evaluation. They should be available on the student portal. We really pay attention to these. As a matter of fact, we need a pretty substantial overhaul of 605 and 610 because, well, for many reasons. A lot of the resources are becoming outdated, as you notice with the object orientation material. There just was not a lot of information up until the last like 2 or 3 years. But we have not had a chance to overhaul the courses, and we are thinking about that for 2021. So please offer your comments on both the instruction and the course material itself. We really appreciate that. All right. Okay, generally, and as you notice, I'm pretty um, expedient on the grading. I don't like waiting to the last minute to complete the grades for the course, although I know that procrastination is a part of how we do things, but I try to have everything completed as far as grading by that Wednesday. But that's fine if you're going to wait until that Wednesday to submit. I still will have everything graded. Since everything is due by midnight, and I'm pretty sure, well, I'm fairly certain that you're not going to wait until 10 o'clock on Wednesday to submit your assignments. But point is that I will have your final grade posted long before then. So I don't like waiting around. We actually have a week after that to complete the grading, but I don't do that. And besides, I'm trying to prepare for the fall anyway. So I will have the grading in pretty quickly, so you'll know your grade. You're all doing very well, so I don't foresee anyone having any issues, unless I fail everyone in the benchmark. That could be a possibility, although I never do that, but yeah, who knows. All right, so let's go over the benchmark assignment and my expectations for what I would like you to complete. I will add my own version of what I think you should be. Well, I'm not going to suggest some things, but I'll give you some hints about um, basically what you should focus on. This assignment is pretty substantial because it does offer you the opportunity to analyze data and create a hypothesis, et cetera, and a solution. All right, but before we get to the benchmark, let me just quickly go over the DQs for week 8. DQ1, you have employed several commonly used database automation tools, and you have in your work throughout the course. Discuss which of these tools have proven to be the most useful overall. Provide your reflective analysis with support from your work, an industry example, or the topic material. So just reflect on some of the tools that you've used, and you have used some automation tools, specifically the SQL Server Management Studio, and I don't know, you're all actually using, they're very useful. Some of you are using Docker and Azure and all that, but there's several that you can research and just offer just a very brief, this does not have to be long, a brief reflection on that. DQ2, looking forward to current and future needs in your own industry or one in which you desire to work. Describe how the more advanced SQL Server integration services, and these are it's unfortunate we don't get a chance in the 8-week course to go over these in detail, but definitely look into these even after the course is over, because they will be, they can be a part of your analysis service. And then they're all high level, they're all automation. They build on the SSMS, et cetera. So you have SQL Server integration services. You have SQL Server analysis services. It's an online analytical processing technology, or SQL Server reporting services, which is becoming essentially the reporting backend for SQL Server or front end, excuse me, um, and could be useful for the industry's current needs as well as to propel growth. So just look into SSIS, SSAS, and SSRS, and then essentially what I'm looking for here, just offer your perspective of how these could be. Either of these, either all of them or one of them is fine, can be useful in an industry that you're in now or something that you desire to be in. Any questions about the DQs? Those of you that are going to submit them. Nope. Oh, I didn't wait the requisite 20 seconds or 5 seconds. All right. So now let's talk about the benchmark assignment. So database query and reporting project, work time by department. That's basically the title. So the final project in this course requires you to utilize the skills, and this is key now, skills and knowledge you have learned throughout both courses to create and implement a complex set of queries. And that's a subjective term, complex. Really, we're all such query gurus now. There's no such thing as a SQL complex query. We can figure it out, right? Um, and that's about the size of it. SQL, once you've essentially grasped the concept of what you can do with SQL, you can do a lot of things with SQL. So anyway, present the data you have assembled into a PowerPoint slide presentation. So it is essential for you to study the database structure, and this is key. I look at the final project very closely to make sure that you're building your analysis off of the actual data. And the AdventureWorks data is, it's shaky at best, but it does represent some idea of what an industry like database will look like. So I want to reiterate the point that yes, you will have to study the data, study the database structure, and to plan ahead throughout the course to ensure you will have the time. So basically, I think that most of you have actually performed enough around the querying to understand the schema and what tuples to deal with, and basically put together what you need to ensure that you're working with the right data for this analysis. Now, the key point here is I'm not tasking you or telling you to do one thing or another. It is your analysis that will develop this, this project report. So there are two parts to the project. So part one is the new scheduling manager has asked for a summary of hours worked each week by department, accounting for nulls as you did before, null values. Use the hours imported. Now remember, this is one key part of the whole process. You're actually importing or utilizing or building, whichever you need to do, the data based on this hours spreadsheet. And then sum by department title for all employees and on the table or in the table. And this is the hours table. See, that's part one. It's basically assessing or analyzing the data that are in that hours table and associating that with your AdventureWorks employees. Okay, part two. So using the data set you've just developed, remember this is the hours and department and everything that you had figured out as far as your analysis. Now you want to create a 5 to 7 PowerPoint presentation, and that's inclusive. In my mind, it should be exclusive, but the instructions state that that's inclusive of your table of contents slide, your cover slide and table of contents, and it should list reference slide as well. So because you should, and if you haven't developed a reference slide for your presentation, then go back and build one, because that's one of my requirements. You should, at the very least, use the course textbook, or you can just cite the AdventureWorks schema. So And you must include extensive or clearly thought out speaker notes about your analysis of the data in your presentation. So using the AdventureWorks roster, select one of the following. Now, there has been some questions about what this means. Now, this first group are the group that you're creating the presentation for. So there's 4 distinct groups that are part of the AdventureWorks employment pool. You have senior management, you have engineering, you have research development, and you have marketing. Now these are 4 different groups. You're not presenting to all 4, you're presenting to one of these groups: senior management, engineering, research and development, or marketing. Okay, does everyone understand that?
Yes,
Yeah.
Professor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
thumbs up.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it
this
makes sense.
has nothing to do with the departments. This is just the groups that you're presenting to. Okay, so in your presentation, model your data into a hypothetical problem, and it will be somewhat evident of the problem. It could be centered around hours. It could be centered around overtime. It could be centered around, you know, employment equity, meaning that and some of you know more about this than I do, or with a manufacturing company like AdventureWorks, where, I mean, what's the return on investment as far as hours worked, and all these things you all need to consider. But that's going to be the process of developing a hypothetical problem that identifies how this information will impact the operations of the specific target audience. So the hypothetical problem will help. You're presenting to a specific audience. So this hypothetical problem, for example, you're addressing overtime, and you would like senior management to understand or think about processing raises for the amount of work that one particular group has performed, something like that, just as an example. Remember, this is the hypothetical that you're producing based on the data. And there's some clear, and I've had a lot of very imaginative hypotheticals. So that there's no limit or no restraints or constraints on your hypothetical. You can go as long as it is represented clearly by the data. That's the key. Yes, you can be imaginative, but if you're going beyond the scope of the data, then you're just making things up, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So remember that. Yes, it's hypothetical, but if it doesn't match, the data that you're presenting, then it's not necessarily a very good thing to present to any of these groups. All right. All right. Any questions before we go into our presentations? Now,
Professor, I had a question about the assignment.
go ahead, Sylvia.
So the script, let me just open it. So I was stuck on like at the beginning for this assignment, you use Microsoft SQL Server 2016 Developer Edition and the content from the database 2016 and scripts for SQL Server 2016. Which one is this? What's the script for SQL?
Yeah, you don't need to use the scripts. There's when you download the AdventureWorks, it does come with scripts. Okay. Initially, we wanted you to use those to develop your hypothetical, but I mean, by this time, you're all skilled enough to run the queries that you need on your own. Yes. So you don't need to use the scripts.
All right.
And I excluded that from my explanation as well. I think I did. Yes. Other questions? All right, so.
Professor, it's very specific question related to
query. I was doing this assignment, so I've come across one scenario that in the hours Excel they have mentioned there are 233 rows. So we have like those job titles.
right?
But when I actually pick up the departments, one of the job title belongs to two departments.
Right.
So I'm getting an additional row out there when I'm picking up the departments because that job title is in both of them.
Yeah. And that's a realistic problem. So is that creating an issue with your data, or do you have to absorb that in your explanation?
Yeah, I can absorb that in my explanation because that title belonged to a department. I mean, to two departments, but both of these seem to be interrelated to me.
Right. So then you would offer, if that's a part of your hypothetical problem, then you would offer some explanation for maybe having that change or having something. So that would be a part of your hypothetical problem then.
Okay. So you basically are suggesting that that should not come. We should pick just one department for that.
No, I'm not suggesting that at all.
Okay.
I don't think that well, I don't want to, if that's, how do I phrase this? There is an issue with cross-department, individuals in cross-department, depending on how you gather your data. So that, to me, should be a part of your problem.
Okay.
I guess I should say.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So any volunteers to present their work for the class first? I could just choose someone, but I'm giving you the opportunity to step up.
I have a question. So this is pertaining to the homework.
Yep.
With this homework, we are under the assumption that these job titles directly represent the departments, right?
Okay. Under the assumption, you never really want to use that when you're developing some type of developing analysis for let's say a report such as this. Everything has to be validated one way or another. Either it's something that's realistic or something that's a part of a problem that you're representing. And that's convoluted, but that is a part of this assignment.
Okay, because I'm reading that up from the point of view where it's like, it's hard to, I don't even know how to phrase my question, but I'm overthinking the assignment.
Yes, don't. Okay, I was going to say
How do I
that.
query data like based on the
Yes.
job titles if you have like correlated job positions, but like you don't have department numbers? Do I
Right.
assign department numbers and then group them all together?
No, you're not creating or you're not changing the data structure. You're analyzing the data that's presented to you. And if you're creating assumptions, that's a part of your hypothesis.
Right.
So, and this is all based on the data that you're presenting. That's
Okay.
the starting point. So I do not want you to restructure the schema or data whatsoever.
Okay.
There's very specific data points with this assignment where you start, and that should persist throughout the assignment.
Okay.
I can present it, Professor, if you want. I haven't finished, but at least I have high level problem for me.
Yeah. So, and this is what I would like for today. Even if you have not finished, I know a lot of you haven't even started. That's all right. But even if you just want to present an idea without a PowerPoint, that's fine too. Or if, I'm just going to open it up because a lot of you will see, for example, what Ram has done, and maybe that'll give you some ideas. Maybe you'll say, well, that's way too complicated. But okay, Ram, whenever you're ready,
Yeah, I can share my screen.
just share your screen.
Are you able to see my screen, Professor?
Yes.
Okay. So this is still in work in progress. I have not finished. Uh, this is the primary objective. I'm mainly like chosen for the senior management team for the presentation. So for that presentation, these are the topics I'm going to cover. What are the primary objectives? That is the place where we talk about the hypothesis, and what is the framework. Okay, because I wanted to use the solution at a global level. It's not only restricted to the only just for the senior and management. Anybody can use it. It's not like only one person. Then for this exercise, like what are the focus department I have taken for the group,
Hmm.
and what kind of analysis at the department level, and what are the major contributing factors. Then some of the insights about like the some of the list, they are not available for the entire month, and what
Right.
would be the takeaways for that. Okay, this is a high level.
Okay.
Still I have not finished. Okay, though my primary objective is basically like I wanted to identify the list of the departments who are actively contributing during this month in spite of this pandemic situation,
All
considering the
right.
COVID-19.
Right.
And I want to drill down the root level for any department who requires some kind of assistance to ensure that the business operations are not impacted,
Right.
and the action plan and creating an action plan for mitigating the potential issues. That is my high level hypothesis.
Mhm.
And then along with that, I wanted to create, this is an extension basically, I want to create a standard framework. As we are I'm analyzing the data, it can be reusable for anybody. It's not only restricted. Okay, it's a
Right.
reusable component. Um, then my framework is something like this. I wanted to first like identify the selected group, because this is the exercise I wanted to do it for a senior management. So I wanted to choose a group, and for that audience, who are the departments I need to be
Right.
considered, and then what kind of a high level analysis I have to, based on my data from the problem one, what are the analysis I'm going to perform, and then using that an analysis, I need to come for some kind of a
Yep.
actionable items to come for the conclusions. Then using the conclusions, I want to come up with some kind of a follow up or a key takeaways for moving forward on that. This is
Absolutely. Yep.
generic for any department. It's not like, okay.
Got it.
So yeah, then as I mentioned, my main goal is for the senior management. So these are the if I see like from a senior management side, some of the departments which are critical for senior management, they
Right.
don't need each and every department. So in my view, these are like department that makes some sense. I didn't write any speaker notes and everything. As I said, it's like just like work in progress. But
Yep.
I'll elaborate more on this part. Okay, these are my
Okay.
departments. I'm going to take it.
Right.
And this is like from an analysis standpoint of view, the snapshot.
Yep.
So I extract the details like for this department, how many employees are linked, what is the weekly hours they're spending, and what is the actual hours, okay, on a monthly basis they actually worked on it, and what is expected basically. So that
Right.
will give an insight of what is expected, what is actually they worked.
Yep.
If anybody which is green zone, it is good to me. But if
Mm.
anybody like 83% is somebody from a shipping and receiving, which is not good to me.
Yep.
So this is something like that. Then some pictorial representation.
Yep.
Then based on that, I just highlighted some of the keywords. Still, I need to improve this. Okay,
Right.
but
Right.
still that is in work in progress. Then as a first step, I understood. Yeah, I need to know for the leadership team. Okay, what are the departments we need to consider for this? Okay, which are risk zone, or which is in a good shape or something like that. Then once I identify the department, I need to go a little deeper level. Okay, so who is the main culprit? I might be using a wrong word, but who is the main problem statement for that person? Okay, so then I did some kind of weekly contributors. So I did some more analysis based on the job title, and some of the pictorial representation, availability side. Okay, which department for the job account type, yeah, his availability is, if you see everybody is green, meaning you're good, we don't see any issues. But if you see somebody like say shipping and receiving, the supervisor is completely off for the entire 4 weeks. This is a concern point for me. So this gives me some deeper details about this one. Sorry, I'm missing something. Are you guys able to see me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is then like once first I looked into the deep department level, then inside the department I looked into the individual job title wise with the corresponding count. Then I am looking at the from the from that particular group, who are the main persons. They are completely inactive. This is also concern for me by considering the current COVID situations. I just trying to interlink with the COVID. It is nothing to do with COVID.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to know, like, if one person is completely off for the entire month, there is definitely something wrong. Could be he might be sick or something like that. So this is the place where, like, I wanted to highlight something about the inactive, participant for that. But then based on these details, I need to talk about something. This is like, if you see production, 3% they are off. But when I see my list here on the production, I have almost like 157 members. So out of those 157 members, even if it is a 3 members off, it's not a big concern factor for me. Okay.
Right.
Like that, I need to come up with that. Still my analysis still in progress. Then this is the slide about talking about what are the potential issues based on my the data analysis, and what are the key takeaways. Okay, for example, if one resource is completely off for the 4 weeks, then what kind of a retrospective or a proactive actions as a company said from a senior management side, or from employee leader side, what kind of assessment has to be done. That kind of potential issues and takeaways I'm talking about.
Yep.
And then this is just like a reference slide, and thank you. That's it. Still, it is work in progress, not completely. But this is my idea. If anybody, like, if you wanted to share your thoughts or concerns, questions, in that way, like, I can help my thoughts as well.
All right. Well, any comments from the class on Faram?
Hey, Ron.
Yeah. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Bronislav here.
Yeah.
So on one of your slides where you have mentioned like department names and stuff, you and I both know that a lot of times there is, yeah, this is perfect. A lot of times there's always, I mean, in Amex, any company, you name it, there seems to be a disconnect between the departments, especially right now.
Yeah.
Example, like in banks, frontline employees would bring up a concern to their bosses, but their bosses would not bring those concerns to IT department, for example. And the ERP is completely off balance. IT is just doing their job, for example, but they will, well, sometimes, most of the time, they'll assume everything's going great. But how do you think you could make a good ERP and just connection between all these departments? Like in your case, there's like more than almost a dozen of departments, and I guarantee you, maybe in this case, some of them are not communicating with each other, and they can create a mess. So what would you think? What would be the best idea?
Okay, I think you asked one of the complex question. Okay, but the thing is, from a adventure data structure standpoint of view, there is a provision actually. Using that provision, there is no like cross person in a one department, one person in a two departments or something like that. There is a provision actually. It's just like we need to tweak the query in such a way that you can grasp that information. But you're right. Okay, job title labeling with the job title with the company or something like that. For example, if I take some assistant. So assistant can be a common name for any department. Okay, it's not like just only the specific to the one department. But for this grouping, the data analysis, whatever I am done, is completely based on the adventure data box. Okay, so there is a mapping for every employee ID. There is a corresponding department ID is mapped, and that department ID is mapped with the respective group as well. So that data extract, whatever I have taken, completely based on the available data. I have not cooked up anything on top of it.
Of course.
Yes, and that's the key here. Bronislav, that's a very, very good point. But Ram is saying that he is truly analyzing the data based on the references that he created, which is exactly the way you would want to approach something like this, right? And yes, it'll bring up more questions, and probably senior management will say, "We didn't know this. Are you sure this is accurate?" But he can back this up with all of his data points because they're all very consistent. And that's one of the reasons why he has so many slides that point to this departmental structure. So, yeah.
Thank you, Branislav. That's a good question, actually. I know I cannot answer the question, but thank you, Professor, for jumping into that.
No worries, it's a very common one. That's why
Yeah,
I wasn't challenging you. I was just curious. I just wanted to hear your side because this is
Yeah,
brought up all the time.
it is a very, very common question, and it is a common problem too, because there's always confusion about what is it, and this could kind of address Sylvia's issue. So how do we don't even know what the departments are anymore. So how is that represented in a report like this? And senior management could possibly, question that as well. And that's where you have to be pretty solid on the data and the representation, your representation of the department-based data. So it's a very, very good inquiry, Branislav. Yeah.
Any questions from anybody else? Okay,
No,
then
okay.
No,
I'm
Ram,
handing
I
over.
would just like to say it's looking really good and it gave us a lot to think about.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
Amanur.
thought so.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
I haven't thought it till that extent, I was still around just the department, but sure, it gives a really good base and a lot to think about. Thanks for sharing.
No problem. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
really good job, Ram.
No, this is half done. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Ram?
Yeah.
On slide 3, I think I saw a typo on the create. I think you eliminated something. Maybe you can take care of that.
Okay, the objective, you mean?
Yes, I think there's something like create a standard something. The create, there's a typo on that.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even check for the the grammatical nature of the statement and everything. Just like I'm putting my thoughts. Okay, still I didn't run through that stuff. I was just like visualizing how to put the slide in, depends on the data.
Right.
Yes, those corrections and notes and everything I need to take care. Anyway, like, thanks for bringing that points. Yeah.
Any other comments for Ram? Okay, anyone else want to present their ideas? Now is the time to get a head start.
If we don't have PowerPoints, we can share what? Our queries, maybe?
Yes, whatever you have. I mean, some of you should at least have the data to begin your analysis, right?
I have like a little bit like of a skeleton that like I'm working with right now.
Yep.
There's not like any legitimate information, but I feel a little bit, I don't know if my question has anything to do with what the data is telling us. So like I don't know if I could just ask you if my question is like workable, or is that not allowed?
Yes, you can ask that,
Okay,
Andrea.
so,
I will give you a very convoluted answer, but you can ask.
okay, because so I'm thinking of an organization that is obviously working from home right now in the current time.
Mhm.
So I'm using the hours that are being worked overtime as an example of people hitting being overworked, number one, and number two, a lot of people are not using their vacation time.
Mhm.
So I was going to use like a play on that to be like the question that I was going to ask higher ups, just like the senior department, of how we were going to address this issue. Is that workable, or should I not go so into like being overworked
No.
style thing?
Yeah, according to what we're going through now, that is absolutely workable. Please continue that. I like
Okay.
it.
All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. I was so stressed after watching Rams. So I'm glad.
But that's a good hypothesis. I mean, that's something that's applicable to what we're dealing with now. So you can use those data points to represent, like a work from home scenario that's creating possibly, not good work environments or hostile work environments. So yes. And that's what I'm looking for, appropriate scenarios. And we have a lot of them now, so.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm currently where I work, I'm actually working closely with HR on stuff like this. So it relates a lot to what I do on my day-to-day life right now.
Yes, and that's another point that I want to make. If you can connect this to what you're doing right now or what you would like to do in the future, that's the purpose of this assignment. So Andrea, you get a thumbs up for that.
Awesome.
job.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Professor, can I ask you something real quick
Sure,
on
Branislav,
this
go ahead.
assignment? So something in real life that's being brought out to me is we have to analyze certain locations, which one are profitable, which ones are not, for one of the companies. Can't name them due to NDA, but if I could, in this case, use AdventureWorks and find out which of their locations are most profitable and which ones are not, and if I'm going to tell management, okay, if we shut down XYZ locations, this could actually save your bottom line this much, or maybe implement training if we find out which employees are performing or not. So we can do two hypothetical
Yes,
case. Okay, so this would be okay example for.
yes, that would be truly appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Come on, we got some good ideas out there. I know some of you that haven't spoken up.
Hi, this is Fernando. I was kind of thinking kind of something on the same line as Bronny was talking about, but I was not really thinking about shutting down a location, but rather than reducing
The workforce.
the employment, resources. So, I mean, that's what I was thinking, something in line with that too, with profit due to the current situation, maybe even with marketing that nobody's really traveling. Maybe there's more because this is a bicycle company. Maybe pitch that because a lot of people here in Arizona are still out there biking around. So that's kind of something that I was thinking about.
So that's excellent. And well, with all of you, you're mapping this to what's happening now, which is appropriate. Even Ram is mentioning COVID-19 and how it's changing the workforce. And this is absolute. You can even use this to as a portfolio. If someone asks you if you were given a scenario and you had to analyze it or create a report from it based on what's happening in our current situation, you're all representing that with your thought processes. So that's good. And that's exactly the purpose of this assignment. So it's not like a one-off. You should be thinking about how can I apply this or how can I use this with what I'm dealing with currently. So yes, all appropriate. All four of you have given some good examples of the direction you want to go. Just remember, you're going to use the data that you will pull from the AdventureWorks database to form your hypothesis, etc. Anyone else?
Professor, can we work on the analysis based on like how one department is seeing very less off days and more employees,
Yes.
We can say 100% productivity, and how the others can take some key points from that on the working.
Absolutely. That's you just mentioned one of the kind of the major, explosive data points that hits you, that you can create a hypothesis from. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, who haven't I heard from? Jill, how are you doing? Everyone has to own up to what they're thinking at least.
Let's see. So I haven't finished my query, so I don't have the data yet.
Okay.
Normally I would look at the data and then kind of form some hypotheses and then look further.
Mm-hmm.
But since I haven't really looked,
that's honest. You get the onus for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is, excuse. The medical school just started where I work at this week.
No, you've been doing good work, and I appreciate your taking the time and what little you have to continue to work hard in the class. So I do understand.
Yeah, it's not that. I mean, I was like, I sat down and started to do the queries, and then I emailed you because I was like, how in depth is this? I guess I should have looked at it being 200 points and thought this was really in depth,
Yes, it's worth a lot. So remember that. So that's 20% of your grade.
Looking at what other people say about looking at what's going on now and kind of analyzing based on that is, I think, a good approach. So it's given me some ideas.
Yep. All right. The wheels are turning. Good. Let's see. Dinesh, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Professor. So actually, I'm doing a lot of assumptions and I am going beyond the scope also. So I will present whatever I prepared.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think you did send me something, right? You're on the right track as long as you have to reel yourself in a little bit. Make sure you're focusing on the data that you're pulling from AdventureWorks to create your hypothesis, etc. So
Yeah.
yes, please go ahead.
I will share. Okay. Yeah. So is it able to see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I am assuming that I am representing the R&D team, and we got a requirement from the senior management. They want to bring analytic capability in our product. I mean the AdventureWorks. Okay.
Okay.
And here is our agenda. So as part of this analysis, we need to see that what all the analytical capability we can bring into the organization. So I have a three set of analytical use case I'm showing up here. So the first one is analytics based on the hours table, and the second one is hours table with some hypothetical data, and then third set of data based on the some complex queries. Okay, so here since there is a plan for the business expansion, I'm just assuming that, and we are analyzing whether existing database architecture will sufficient for implementing these requirements, and we are seeing some technical feasibility issues. So we are proposing some new architecture for this framework. So
Okay.
basically, I'm more focusing on the technical side. Okay.
Yep.
So here is the first analytics. So based on the number of employees in each department, so you can see that most of the employees are, I mean, belong to the production and production department, and so this will be helpful for the senior management how to distribute the employees, and if any department require a focus, they can see some idea from here. So here most of the department have only one person. So suppose there is no backup for this department, is some person, as Ram mentioned, right? It means if some person got illness, there is no other person to substitute. So
Right.
management has to take care that these aspects. Okay, now how to, if one person takes sick leave, or how to support that department.
Right.
Since yeah, one more report is here. This is a total hours. So basically, this is since in the first we saw that in production we have a lot more number of employees. So the number of work hours also more here. Okay. See, as here, so this is also Ram mentioned, in shipping department, we don't have any workers. Means maybe a person is on leave. Okay, and since here employment, I mean the management is expecting to move into the online facility, so the shipping also will increase. I mean the since online we will have a more person need to involve on the shipping department. So maybe management need to focus and see that they need to recruit new people in this department.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So moving to the next slide. Okay, here this is I did some hypothetical data. So I added the wages per hour. So each department I assumed some wages like production is a, I assume that these are the technical expert and they are getting per hour they are getting
Okay.
60, 50, 40 like that. I just used some hypothetical data, and here is the distribution. Okay, all the here what we are seeing is around 66% of budget is going for the production department.
Right.
Okay, and this green is sales, and this one is like marketing. So all majority of 75% of budget is going for the production. So yeah, if suppose yes, you know, just thinking that opposites high, then maybe they need to focus and see that, okay, normally what we are seeing the current industries, they are removing
Right.
the higher pages or high experience
Right.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, they will feel, they will remove from here and they will maybe the junior technical, maybe they will fill there. That is what we are seeing.
Yep.
And another insights we are getting from this one is like we can see that it's 0% for the shipping, and since management have the aspiration to moving online, maybe they need to they need to see that means a huge amount they need to spend in this department.
Absolutely.
See, yeah, one of the studies saying that Amazon is spending around 28 billion
Yep.
for the shipping department. I mean, so this is last to last year.
Yep.
So yeah,
So they, yeah, if VentureWorks is going to make money, they need someone in that shipping department, right?
true. Yeah. So this one is again
Oh,
a
interesting.
stage-wise sales summary.
Hmm.
So this is I'm going out of scope, means I depend on the Adventure Works data and see that how stage-wise distribution is looking. So here 4 states we can see that business is doing good, and we need to see that California it's comparing to other states is a very good business, and see maybe this will we can take it as a role model, or we can see that how they achieved this business, and the same thing we can implement to other states, and see that whether we can improve the
Wow.
business.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
some yeah
Now,
some of
now, just be careful. I mean, you're performing many points of analysis, which is fine, but I don't want you to overwhelm yourself. This statewide information is great for you to pull that data, and it will probably support your hypothesis. Um, okay, just wanted to just offer a quick interjection. Go ahead. Sorry.
okay, yeah. So this one is another insight. So what we are
Oh,
seeing
okay.
that yeah, now past 2 years there is no sales for 8 model
Hmm.
cycles. So this one is another, yeah, past 1 year there is no sales. So we need to see that okay, why
Hmm.
this is happening. Means so what is happening here? Is there any issue with the sales or the marketing team? And do we have any quality concern, or did you get any feedback from the market? So those things we can derive. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah. So there is no limit for the analytics. So we have a lot of data we can derive, and a lot of insights we can derive
Hmm.
from this database. And next we will look into the architectural part. Means since we are representing the IT R&D team, so we need to see that how we can implement this analytics in our organization.
Yep. Great. Wow. Good job.
Yeah. So here is the current architecture. I just assuming that this is the current architecture. We know that we have a single database in our organization, and we have a one business layer. I mean all the business logic developed in one monolithic interface, and we have a client. So while looking to here, since we are moving to online, right, maybe like we may be providing some sales like whatever we have in Thanksgiving, right? So that time lot of hit will happen, and a lot of transaction will happen in an organization. Since majority it will be for the uh, sales department. So sales department here, everything, thing, I mean the all schema is in one database. So we have sales here, we have purchase here, we have a other means human resource and other department here. Suppose sales itself means during this sale, I mean the some offer, right? That time we will have a lot of hit, and then the database will impact. So so that means every because of the sales, every department will impact. So there is no corresponding relationship between the HR to sales, but even sales I mean the HR department also will be impacted because of this sales. Because these are the some of the drawback in this monolithic architecture. Same case here. Here, since we need to introduce analytical features, but here maybe this is the existing business implementation will be in Java, but we need to we need to develop a new analytics maybe based on the R language or maybe Python. So this framework will not suit for us. So this is a tightly coupled architecture. So what we are recommending is a new architecture for this. We are recommending new architecture. This is the architecture we are recommending. So what we are planning to do is here we will split the database into multiple based on the schema. We will have a production, we will have a purchasing, we will have a sales, HR, and other department. So the previous use case means when the sales we have a lot of sales, then only this route will be impacted, others will not be impacted. Okay, that is why we are introducing this architecture. So everything will be loosely coupled, and I mean this service will be independent. Okay, this here we are planning to introduce analytical services. Okay, so okay. So here, what we are doing is it able to see my desktop?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Here we solved the backend issue. Means we divided and we created independent services. But now the issue is with the front end, because front end means here the front end may be developed in I mean jQuery or JSP, but we will not have a support for the analytics. For analytics, we need something like graph and all. We need to show, we need some R or the Python, right? So so again, this is a bottleneck. Means so for solving this issue, we again introducing the some changes in this architecture. This is the final architecture. So here we are introducing a multiple front end. See. We have a multiple front end. So, but the user will see some people. User will have illusion like they are interacting with the one page, but underneath it will be a multiple technologies, and maybe this production may be in Angular, or maybe this will be in the purchasing will be React. So we will get a freedom to use whatever technology we want. For analytical, we can use or whatever technology which is suitable for the analytics. So later we can develop it as a data analytics as a service, so that each department can consume our data for analytical purpose. This is the final architecture we are recommending for our institution.
Wow.
So this is the reference.
Impressive.
Yeah. Any questions?
I know you'll have some questions about that. Comments, questions?
You did a really good job, Danish. You covered so many aspects. Yeah,
Yes.
not. So you
That's,
did a lot. Yeah, you did a lot of analysis on different aspects, and you came up with different analytical. Yeah, I really like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really liked your the visuals. In addition to everything else, but your visuals are very nice. And yeah, and your analysis was above what I was thinking about. So that's giving me more room to think. So
Thank
good job.
you. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, at the very least, you all should begin to collect some of these ideas. Of course, you have to come up with your own rendition, but good job, Dinesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor.
All right. I'm going to pick on everyone before we leave today. So either you speak up or, okay, Emily, I know you're waiting to add your comments.
Okay, so I did the query to pull everyone by department, and I probably overthought it. So it took me way longer than I anticipated, and then I got frustrated and went to bed. So I haven't really looked at the data. But as we were talking, I was thinking about looking at social distancing in departments that are currently working together, to look at departments that have more employees that would have to be in person, to see what kind of social distancing, whether that's spacing out hours or working like a rotating schedule, something like that.
Right. Good. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see, who's next? Katya, how are you?
I'm good.
You're very quiet.
Well, I'm
taking notes.
yeah, and thinking a lot. Actually, the same thing happened with me as with Emily. I did the first part. I took out all the hours by departments. And then I started thinking, and yes, the frustration came. I think Andrea had a similar idea. I mean, I was at that idea that she had, and I was kind of scared that I'm not gonna be able to back it up with data. So it was nice to hear that it might be possible.
Yeah, so don't be afraid that the data is very rudimentary, but you can create many different hypotheses from it.
Yes, I was not. Yeah, I was not that free. I just got that idea, and then I started picking through the data, and I was like, oh, how I'm gonna pair this. So this is actually where I stopped.
Okay.
So far. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. You have the ideas in your head, and
yeah, I just have to work through all of that.
All right. That's what I like to hear. Let's see. Who else? Javier, how are you doing, sir?
Good. I was gonna ask you about the when I'm just making sure when you're saying accounting for null values, we just have to make sure that we include them, correct, or is we exclude them?
Oh, see, remember in our exercise, if you're putting together hours, it may be represented by a null, so you have to account for them. Yes. So they're not being added or included in the reporting structure. So replacing them with zeros or doing whatever you need to ensure that a null value is not being showcased.
Okay, perfect. And I get it. And then other thing, I was just gonna go something off like I haven't thought anything with something off like the coronavirus, maybe like people about the hours, maybe if there's not enough work, like put them on mandatory like furlough or PTO. Like here at my job, there's PTO low census when there's low, like when there's not a lot of patients, They make it take it's better than furlough. It's PTO, so you get
Right.
still get hours, but you still have to use them. So like something around the hours, like maybe like I don't want to like fire people. I just reducing stuff and getting them paid, something like that.
Yeah, that I like it. That makes sense. All right. Anyone else has any questions, comments? You've seen a couple of really good presentations, or at least the starts, the beginnings of them, and probably gave you all some good ideas. Yes, I do want to encourage you to reach that level of creativity as far as the actual presentation as well. You give bonus points for that, in essence. If you're conveying a message clearly, then that's the purpose of a presentation. We'll do that for you. All right. Any other questions, comments? I think I've bugged just about everyone. Oh, Shuring, how are you doing, sir? Did you want to comment?
Yeah, I'm thinking about is when this all the pandemic things happens in China, and yeah, when they get them controlled all these numbers, what they showing us, and yeah, is everything is going down, and they started reopening the economy, and what they really did since I think is governor they sent some just like the what do you call it?
Okay.
All kind of stuff sent it to because encourage people go out to spend the money to to get the loss back, and because during that times nobody come to purchase, nobody can go out to do something.
Right.
And for I'm thinking of with adventure works, I'm just thinking is that discount is really make a customer think about going back basically during this time. You want to go out or you don't want to go out because this pandemic things, all this discount contribute all the sales for them. And
absolutely,
I may want to get an analysis on this.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So we all have our ideas in head. I don't think anyone has had any problems with running the data. Basically, you've seen two representations of what the department data should look like from AdventureWorks, where you will base or map or create your hypothesis. So that's the first thing that I look for. Obviously, that's part one, to see if you're actually running the queries to create the department-based data. And then after that, that's when your creativity is going to kick in, your pandemic exercises, work from home. But so far, all of your ideas have been great. It's good to hear all of those. So my expectations are pretty high. So continue to work on those, and yes, they are due by Wednesday, the 12th. And
Professor, I have a question.
go ahead, Fernando.
With submitting the assignment, because there's those two parts right there, do you want us to do part one like on a Word document like we have been before? Being that we have the PowerPoint, we can't upload two documents onto that Dropbox.
No, I'm just expecting a presentation with
Okay,
the speaker
perfect.
notes.
Okay, thanks.
You do not have to include like part one, part two, just a presentation.
All right, thanks.
Yep. So that being said, I do want to thank you all. It has been quite an adventure. I appreciate all of your hard work. And as I said, you're all doing a very good job. And as I say to all of my classes, you've been the best class ever. No, you guys have actually been a really, really good class. I appreciate all the perspectives, and I do want to thank you for your work. And please do not forget to fill out the course evaluation. That's very crucial. And so now I'm giving you a ton of time to begin to continue the work. And this is what I would normally do anyway. I would be walking around the classroom, bugging you, making sure you at least have your data in hand or in front of you to begin your analysis. All right, so thank you. Any last questions?
Professor, it's a very generic question, nothing related to this. If you can please answer that. Can you please guide, like, what would be the way to go or where to start with if I want to go into predictive analysis? I mean, it's yeah.
Okay.
Start with basically.
So actually, Denise did a very good job of just moving from, just strictly data analysis to a direction of predictive analysis, because he went from his assumption of the model to developing a different model. That is a part of predictive analysis. But if you're strictly looking at the data, and if you want to include this in your analysis for this project, it might be.
Professor, not for this. Like in
general.
Yeah, as a field, if I want to focus my studies going forward more towards the,
Okay, so once again, I will point to Denisha's presentation. That is a very integral part of predictive analysis, taking core level data and heightening the scope. That's what's going to be expected. Can you take just basic data points and begin to provide even just strong level suggestions to upper management? And not only does that include real data, but it also includes data that's projected, meaning if your sales is trending this way, or if your work hours are trending this way, now you're going to create predictions based on the data. That's the core level of predictive analysis. If you're interested in going that route, usually it's a data scientist that's involved in that, and that's usually someone with a PhD. So that's generally the premise there. They're the ones that are creating all these data models based on predictive, based on analysis, based on business intelligence, etc.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
It's a very interesting field to get in, but it's very difficult. So I'll just end with that.
Okay.
And it's lucrative. That's essentially one of the highest levels that you can achieve on the data analysis side, to be a data scientist. And it's just that.
Yeah, actually where I'm coming from is since the time I've begun this program, I really want to go for PhD going forward. So I keep thinking like what do I want to focus my research on. I started with analytics, and then I thought as we are progressing through the course, it's like that's a huge field. So it cannot be such a vast term as I want to do it in analytics. So
it is a huge field, and it's the most prominent as far as data is concerned.
So going through the articles now, I'm getting inclined more towards predictive analytics because that seems exciting. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And that pares it down quite a bit, but once again, it's probably the most desired industry level field out there, and the most challenging, especially now, because everyone's assessing and analyzing data based on what the pandemic is doing for us. So go ahead and get that PhD in 2 years, and then you'll be set.
Professor, I had a question.
Thanks, Professor, for your input.
You're welcome.
I had a question. So the last class, you say those who won't be able to present today have Saturday, can sign up for Saturday or Friday. Is that still on? Is that still the plan that will have sent to you?
No, it's you can present anytime between now and Wednesday, any day, any of the days. As a matter of fact, I'm really open next week anyway. So I've already set up a schedule for one of your classmates but you can present any time. And that, thank you for bringing that up. You will have to present your work one way or another between now and the end of class.
So do we write you an email with the time suggestion, or is there like a timesheet that we could all fill out, like, and secure a spot for our presentation?
Well, yeah, I wish that I was that organized, but I'm not. So just send me an email with your suggestions of time, day and times, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to accommodate them. As I said, I only have 2 evening classes next week and a couple meetings, so I am pretty open next week. And the weekend, well, if you really wanted to, if you would really like to present over the weekend, that's fine. I will accommodate you.
Okay.
Besides, it's not a weekend to me, it's just another day towards.
How long should our presentation be?
Um,
Like, I mean, time-wise.
Like
Time-wise, well, if you talk really slow, it probably hours, but no. No, 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Time-wise, yeah.
So Professor, after submitting the assignment, do we need to set up a time with you for going through that?
Well, for those of you that presented today, Ram and Dinesh, since I've seen your presentation and actually I've worked with both of you, no, you've already satisfied your presentation quota,
Okay.
so
Okay.
you're good.
Okay, thank you.
And Professor, I just wanted to say thank you for keeping this class active and going over the job discussions. I think that really helped me, especially that I have a background in chemistry and I'm trying to get into data. There are times that I've been feeling like I can never catch up on the terminology and the language, but thank you for keeping this class interesting and always making us look forward to the sessions. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you all too. All right, so if y'all don't mind, just please launch your cams one more time so that I can see all your smiling faces before we say adios. That way, if I see you on the streets, I'll know not to bug you or ask you for money or something. I'll leave you alone, go on to the next person. And if you see me, you know, I'm probably gonna run away. Oh no, but no, that's fine. But it has been a pleasure teaching you all. It's always an adventure. I don't like that I don't get to teach both courses, but to see you all in this course is great. And I do want to thank all of you that you know, my students, my most improved student has to go to Jill. I was really worried about her at the beginning, but she really came up to bat and did a very good job. And you all have been top notch. And believe me, I'm a hard notch grader when it comes to writing, so don't be discouraged by that. But you all did very well initially. So thank you. So get that presentation done, schedule your actual presentation. Okay, I did want to mention, if you don't want to or you don't have time to actually present, you can create a recording and send it to me. Meaning if you have a YouTube channel or whatever, that's fine. Just let me know what your preference is. But you all should create a presentation for the benchmark. That's a part of the point structure. All right, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
At least most of you are smiling. That's always good. All right. Well, you all have a very good evening, and
Thank you very much.
maybe I will see you down the road, but you won't have me for an instructor. And I'll end with this. I can't stand R. I don't know why we're teaching it, but I just had to say that. But oh well. Have fun with that class.
Well, thank you.
Don't blame me if it's either too easy or too hard. All right.
Good to know.
Right. Take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye.
Professor.
Great
Good night.
weekend.
Bye.
Professor.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.